Hello everyone, welcome to Dice on Ice. I'm Em, and it is Tuesday, which means Strahd Day. And welcome to episode 34, which is called Pierced Heart. And in the previous episode, we saw that they have continued, the characters are continuing their stay at the Von Zarovich castle, and quite enjoying it as they go on a ride, a horse ride, and they literally run into some trees. Strahd disappears, and they beat the trees, and very luckily for Strahd, he just happens to show up as they go to leave, and beckons them back to the castle in order to hold up on his promise to heal Eli of his vampirism in exchange for them going and killing Van Richten, or Rictavio, as they were first introduced to him. Before we get this stream started, I am going to be trying out something a little bit unique this evening. I will be using the sounds from Syrinscape, and I would like to give a huge thanks to Syrinscape for the amazing atmosphere and music that will hopefully scare and make nervous my players. And make sure you check them out at Syrinscape.com. without further ado, let's get started. Rain begins to fall as you start your walk back to the castle. Strahd is missing, as there isn't that previous enthusiasm from Strahd when you first went out, him showing you places and bringing you across the vast countryside, and it's reflected very much so by the mood of the landscape. And do you all follow at a good pace with him, behind him, further back? How are you following him? You do. Some decided to take your horses back. I believe Fell refused to get back up on a horse. But some of you, yes, but keep in mind that they are undead, so it just got back up with its skull. Yep.
In addition to other, not exactly medical conditions, but yeah, Eli's just looking pretty beat up, and maybe I imagine this leather sort of long coat that he wears as a sort of armor is probably slashed in a few places from these sharp branches of these trees that attacked him. And yeah, not saying much, just kind of trying to cling to consciousness there, not feeling too good.
And so, yeah, as you walk, the rain and the thunder continues until you are at a downpour, and you get just absolutely drenched from the rain. And eventually, it feels like it's taking forever. Strahd says nothing to you. You see now that his injuries are becoming ever more present, his breathing a little more ragged. You see no blood, however, but he does slump a little bit forward. And as you make your way back to the castle, you enter in through the large doors and and there are stable hands there immediately to take your horses, and you're able to get into dryness, to relative security, perhaps not for now. There's no one here, no guests. They all seem to have left. There's no music that plays. Nothing in comparison to the previous night. Strahd almost immediately disappears from sight as soon as he walks in. You see that he ducks to the left. As soon as you walk into the entranceway, he ducks to the left up some stairs, saying, "I will be gathering what I need to perform this ritual for Eli. I shan't be but a moment." And he goes upstairs. You hear a door squeak open and close, and you are left alone in this foyer, the only light provided by a few sconces on the walls.
I imagine Fel was, since she was not on her horse, is probably helping guide Eli's horse a little bit. And when it started to rain, she put up the hood of this cloak that she had purchased in Valaki. She sort of pulls that back down. She looks towards the direction that Strahd went and looks to the others. And then she looks to Eli. Are you all right? Do we need to get you to your room so you can rest? You took a pretty hard hit from those trees.
Well, yeah, I got my bell rung pretty good. I just need some rest. It's probably just the rain. The change in pressure from the weather is making me feel worse than normal. Normally I'd bounce back a little quicker from this, I think, but I feel like that took a lot out of me. I used up pretty much all the resources I had at my disposal.
Understandable. And I think for a moment there's this sort of flicker of indecision as Fel looks back in the direction that Strahd disappeared in, and then she shakes her head and she looks back to Eli and says, if you want, and then she'll glance to the others, I could take Eli to his room to rest, since Strahd apparently needs time to gather his belongings, and we could prepare for this. I don't really know how we need to prepare, but I'm pretty exhausted as well, honestly. Used quite a few spells in that fight.
I could use a rest as well. Feeling a bit battered and bruised.
Does anyone have any more of those potions of healing? I used, I think, my last one on Eli. Does anyone have any extras just to check?
Jean kind of rumbles around and she finds two. She's two of them.
Imagine Fel's lips quirk to the side a little bit, and she takes a deep breath and says, would you be opposed to potentially giving one either to Eli or Corla, whoever needs it more? I imagine we're not going to have much time to rest.
And she'll unfasten the potion of greater healing that she has and hand it to you, Eli. Say,
I ain't to the point where I need one of those just yet.
for a rainy day, perhaps.
As the water is still dripping off the brim of his hat. I kind of imagine as Eli refuses or attempts to refuse this, looking sideways, glancing over at Fel, and I would imagine seeing the beginnings of Fel looking to reproach Eli for the refusal.
She does do that on occasion.
Well, all right. I guess I need to work on swallowing my pride.
And maybe not getting hit so much. That's a skill to learn.
Well, if you're gonna be able to dish it out, you got to be able to take it from time to time, and I definitely took it. Thank you, Jean.
Yes, thank you, Jean.
You said that was a greater healing potion?
Yep, potion of healing greater.
44 plus 4?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll uncork it and take care of that. Yeah, 14. Imagine you see a little bit of, as I drink it, you'd see the magical effects. Bring a bit of color back into my cheeks. Maybe a little more shine to the eyes, but still looking pretty dark circles under the eyes and pretty... It doesn't heal all the wounds.
I think noticing that, Fel would start to sort of usher you towards the room that the two of you shared the previous night. Say, all right, come on, we'll rest for a bit, and then I guess we could gather either in the room that Eli and I are sharing, or in the room. And she looks to Corla and then to Jean. The two of you were meant to be sharing. Whatever you would like to do is fine. But I do think we should discuss how we're going to handle this. Right. Come along, Eli. She's going to continue kind of like pushing you along towards the bedroom.
Yeah, no complaints.
Do Corla and Jean go in?
I think Corla just stands there looking at Jean and looking at the two of them and kind of like,
Jean is pretty battered from the tree fight. She will definitely go to her room. It's up to Corla whether you'll follow Jean to Jean's room or you'll go to your own room.
I think if she sees that you don't follow Eli and Fel and that you go to your own room, Corla's not so keen on going back to her room at this moment, so she'll follow you into yours. And probably plop her butt down on that nice, cushy armchair that was in the corner there.
I'm going to be rebandaging. It's a grisly sight, but
Oh, no worries. I have my own to bandage. I will be concentrating on that. I can give you privacy if you need. We just close these bed curtains here. So I'm sure it's one of those 4 posters, you know, with all those fancy linens you can untie and kind of cover, so we can, you know, do the end of the bed and side so that John has privacy.
the privacy will only be for your sake.
If it makes you feel better.
So
basically turn around and start doing her own ones. Yeah.
So are you guys wanting to take a short rest?
Yes, please.
Okay.
That sounds
I would
wonderful.
appreciate taking a short rest.
For real though.
I will allow it.
Such generosity.
Yeah, you're able to have a short rest, and you hear a knock at your door, Corla and Jean. And you hear a voice from outside that you would recognize as Rahadan's voice, the butler. Lady Corla? Lady Jean? He opens the door just a crack.
What is it?
Oh, Rahadan. What is it?
My master is ready for Eli, and he requires all of your presence.
What for?
For the healing, he says, slowly going over every syllable in that sentence.
Jean turns to Corla, but still kind of talking to the butler. Didn't realize our presence was so vital to this ritual.
Why is that? I wonder.
That's
Or
the
does
question
he
I
just
asked, but
need-
he gave me a smarmy answer.
Does he need audience, maybe? Or see how good he is?
To witness his majesty, perhaps.
Well, how are you feeling, Jean?
I've felt better, but I'll be fine. A bit sore overall. Not liking these moments we spend in this place. Not one bit.
Is it hard for you being here?
I'd imagine so, yes.
Is it harder for you? What you are? Is there a pull?
I don't quite understand what you're getting at here. She says as she, like, strapping back on the gauntlets that she wears.
I saw your face last night when food was presented. I also saw you not partake. But is it hard for you?
It's hard to act like everything's normal. Especially with a host like him.
I'm here if you need help. I don't know what you'd need, but if you're finding it hard or stressful, or you finding yourself too tempted, or...
I think we should focus on Eli right now.
And if we keep doing that and not focus on you, then that's when bad things happen. Just saying.
She does not reply and just gets the last buckle in place and leaves through the door, leaving your concern hanging, I think.
Yeah, and I think Carla would just kind of say and then follow you out.
Likewise, Fel and Eli, you hear a knock from Rahaden at your door.
I'll answer it, and Fel will get up from wherever she was and go ahead and answer the door. Oh, Rahaden. What can we do for you?
My master says he's ready for Eli.
For the healing, I assume?
Rahaden just smiles and nods. Yes, he is ready now.
Tell me, do you know what this is going to entail exactly?
I myself have never seen this done to someone else before. I do not know what it entails.
She would pause for a moment, tilting her head to the side. You've never seen it done on someone else before. Did he do something like this to you?
He smiles again, teeth showing. You can see the fangs. I'm sure you can see that it appears I didn't learn my lesson.
You're a little creepy, you know that?
He raises his eyebrows in this mock confusion. May I lead you to the sanctuary?
Give us a moment. We will be out momentarily.
Rahaden bows. As you will. And leaves.
Fel's just going to kind of close the door. She'll look back to you, Eli, wherever you are, and just say, so are you ready?
Yeah, I think you see at this point Eli has taken off his leathers and is basically just wearing his the clothes he would wear underneath that, the trousers and maybe a loose fitting shirt, probably a leather vest, something like that. And would be still taking his gun belt and his sword belt and just fastening them around his waist. As you sort of close the door, Still moving a bit slowly. Stiff. Looking like he's a bit stiff. Yeah. It's, I don't know what this is gonna be, but just keep your eyes open and we're putting a lot of trusts in this Strahd fella. But he seems like he needs something from us, so it's in his best interest to probably help us. At least that's what I'm trying to believe.
I feel the same, honestly. And I imagine Fel walks over to you and she sort of like bends over and adjusts the leather kind of like vest that you're wearing a little. And then she puts her hands on your shoulders, Eli, and kind of squats down to your level and just says, if something happens in there, if you feel strangely, if you want it to stop, just something, anything, a nod, a word, anything, and I will do what I can to get you out of there. Just wanted to let you know.
Rest assured, I'll speak my mind if things seem to be going amiss.
Right. She gives you this look for a moment, Eli. It's a little hard to read. And she kind of looks at your face, and then she stands up, kind of wipes her hands on her breeches, and then she says, well, then I suppose we should go out into the corridor and meet with the others and go to this sanctuary.
All right.
We do that.
You come out, and Corla and Jean, are you out as well into the hall?
I think so.
You see that Rahadin has not left entirely and is just waiting towards the end of the hall, holding a sconce in his hand. He wordlessly turns and leads you down the stairs back to... You've gone this way a few times now, so you're starting to remember the route back to the main hall, back to the foyer that you had come in, and he is going to turn down this long it's going down this long corridor you find, and you find that he opens these doors opening into another long hallway. This one is different. You feel this cool air immediately hit you, frigid, and you see that all along these walls, these stone walls, are candles lit that send this eerie glow, casting long shadows against the wall, against the floor, against the ceiling. And as you walk, you can smell what smells like burning incense. It is this rich smell of pine and cedar. And you can hear your footsteps echoing down. You can hear the sound of bats from an unknowable place flitting around, the sound of ravens. And as Rahadin leads you down this hall and opens the door at the end, you find yourself in a huge, what looks to be a sanctuary. Eli, this looks familiar to you. This would be something akin to where you had preached, potentially. You can see there are pews all along the each side of this length of carpet that continues on from the hall and down towards this raised dais, and you can see stained glass, beautifully ornate. At one time, when the light would just hit it, you could imagine that it would just send spectral colors shining down on the floor. though the pews are in disarray. Many of them have been broken, scattered, pushed aside, absolutely destroyed. Some still remain, especially up to the front. You see there is this wooden board on this dais in place where an altar or somewhere where the priest would speak. You see a long wooden board that is shaped almost like a T, like a cross, with these shackles at the bottom where the feet, and the shackles where the arms are. And there is Strahd out of his riding gear in a violet, fine silk vest. Hair surprisingly dry, though all of yours is still soaking wet from the rain. He stands there cleaning what looks to be a knife. And he looks up to you. He looks at you specifically, Eli, and smiles. Right this way, my good sir.
I'll follow.
Now, for both your safety, my safety, and the safety of your friends, if you could just lay here, we can begin. And he, pats the board.
I'll glance over at the others, and then I will do as he requests.
Before you start, what exactly is this going to involve?
Oh, well, a little bit of magic, a little bit of herbs and local flowers that I managed to pick up on our ride. And
Are you going to hurt him?
am I going to hurt? No. But I will not lie to you. This process is uncomfortable.
Care to elaborate on that?
Oh, he won't die. You'll just have to see for yourself.
Phil, it's going to be all right.
I imagine she looks, again, she's pretty pale to begin with, but she looks visibly paler than normal, and her hands sort of clench. I imagine you kind of hear that low growling of a hound as her shadow starts to bulge a little as the hound of ill omen starts to form, but then it sinks back. She says, all right, just, if it gets to be too much, right, just sort of step back and be quiet.
As you lay down, Eli, Strahd secures the shackles around your wrists and around your legs. And
I'm sorry, did you say shackles?
yes, I did, in fact, say shackles.
Okay. You said it like that. You said it like that was a matter of fact. A known entity. I think Eli's maybe a little like, oh, all right.
So you're laying down. You see above you lies this stained glass, and Strahd looks to you, Corla. Corla, my dear, would you come and hold this for me? And he hands you the knife. Just for a moment.
I think Corla is probably as gobsmacked as I am. She's just staring at this knife that he has just handed her. And it's probably trembling in her hand because I imagine. Well, does it look familiar? Does it look like?
Oh, absolutely, it looks familiar.
Oh, yeah. I think she's gonna drop it. It shakes, and then all of a sudden she just drops it to the floor.
Strahd froze his eyebrows. You are a blade master, are you not? You don't have to cut him. And he, like, picks it up for you and, like, goes to hand it to you again. I just need you to hold it. Is that too much to ask? I can get someone else to do it.
And Corla is looking at Jean almost like with pleading eyes, seeing if, I don't know, like what's going through her head at this moment, like just save me, this isn't right, but she also doesn't want to seem weak in front of him, so she'll take the knife. But she doesn't look very comfortable with it at all.
And as you take that knife, Strahd snaps his fingers very quickly, attention gone from you, and some doors along the side of this sanctuary begin to open, and you see two figures start to walk in. Actually, no, a third slumped between them, being dragged across. You can see immediately, as soon as the light from all of the candles hit this person's face, you can see that it was one of the vampires that you fought in Vallaki, slumped over. You can still, in fact, see the see the stake that Eli drove through its chest, still sticking out of it. It's limp. This vampire is dead, but is being dragged by two others who you had seen at the party. Very good, thank you. All right, now, this will only be a moment. And he goes down, and you can see that he takes the stake and he rips down this vampire's torso with such strength, such brutal force. You can hear the ribs just cracking all the way down. And as he splays open the torso, and he reaches in and he takes out the heart that has been speared through and through, and he holds it up as if he's inspecting a fine gem in the sunlight. He looks at it. Eli, you are going to make this more difficult, aren't you? Sorry, you had to make this more difficult, didn't you? And he walks up to where you are, Eli, and he begins to rip the heart up in half and then in quarters again, and he places one. He goes around to your hand, Eli, and he says, if you could just open your hand for me.
I glanced over at my hand, not realizing that it had involuntarily closed, and then I do.
He places a piece of that heart in your hand, and it is wet and fleshy, as he goes to the other side and places another piece in your other hand. Again, places one at your feet and then one at your head. The smell of this rot, as it has been a few days since you had killed these vampires, the rot and the decay has set in, and you can just smell the decay. And he goes back over to Corla. I'll be taking that knife back. He holds out his hand, his long fingers outstretched to take the knife.
I think at this point, Corla's kind of got like a death grip on that knife without even realizing it, like white knuckles, everything. So if he wants it, he's probably going to have to pry it from her hands because she is, at this moment, almost paralyzed with watching what's going on.
And he doesn't. He
Register him, yeah.
He doesn't. He will not grab it from you, but he would. His hand stays outstretched, but maybe even worse, he takes another hand and he places it on your shoulder, and it is ice cold. You can feel it permeating through your leather, this cold grip. As he looks to you, Corla, the knife.
And I think she looks at the knife and maybe finally, I guess, the cold hand on her shoulder kind of snapping her back into present and no longer in the past. And she looks at him and then at the knife in her hand, and she's almost horrified as she kind of like, I guess, would almost like throw it away from her as fast as possible, like into his hand. So
yeah, Strahd gracefully catches it back, and he looks to you, Corla, and to you, Fel, and says, "Now the tricky part. I am going to need some blood for Eli. It has to be from someone who is living."
And what exactly will you be doing with this blood?
It just goes into the ritual. I need it in this chalice here, and he points to it, and of course, sprinkled for good measure.
For good measure, right. And Fel looks at you, Eli, strapped to this wooden cross, and again, that kind of strange look from the room washes over her face, and then she grits her teeth, and she will step forward and just nod to Strahd.
You are lucky you caught it so quickly, or else I'd need much, much more blood.
Lucky us.
Indeed. And he is going to give you the chalice and the knife. If you can do the honors. I don't do so well around blood, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I imagine Fel very reluctantly takes the knife, probably with not the same reluctance as Corla did, but and then she'll take the cup. Right. Okay. And she'll, I imagine she almost like wanting to do this in private, even though there's probably not a lot of room around here, but she just goes to one of the pews, maybe, just kind of sits down, kind of huddles over the chalice, and she just like kind of makes a very shallow cut on her hand, and probably not knowing, I mean, she definitely doesn't know how much blood is going to be needed. She'll probably cut a little deeper so that enough blood can fill the chalice. And then she will, favoring her not cut hand, pick up the chalice and bring it over to Strahd, being careful not to spill any of the blood. There you go.
You see he grabs it, and he has a very, very tight grasp on the chalice as he holds onto it. And you see he begins to add things to it. And Eli, you feel this, just, you can see the drops of blood being sprinkled around you, and you hear Strahd, as you are the one that is closest. He begins to mumble words and chants and begins to speak in another language that you cannot even comprehend, this language of, but you can feel there's a darkness to it. There's a power to it, and it's pulling, as you, for being so in tuned with the divine and celestial beings, you can feel that it comes from something else. He's drawing the power from something else, something darker, something more ancient, as he does so. And you begin to see tendrils, dark, inky tendrils begin to appear in your peripheral vision, and you begin to hear just these whispers. You don't know where they're coming from, but they seem to be coming from all around you. And they begin to meld with Strahd's voice. As he speaks, his voice just melds into one, into the background, into this chorus. And you begin to feel this burning that comes from, it originates from where you were bit. It feels like you are on fire as it begins to spread and radiate throughout. How does Eli bear the agony that begins when his whole body feels like it is being burned from the inside out?
Well, let's find out. Not well at all. I rolled a Constitution saving throw just to see, and with a +5 to my con, got an 8. I think at first Eli is just trying to take it and not show too much reaction. But as the realization of I almost imagine the sensing this sort of ritualistic prayer that Strahd is doing. There's a moment of peace, thinking that he's connecting with some shred of whatever deity once this chapel was designated to, but then realizing that he's gone in the completely opposite direction and is drawing from that negative energy, that darkness. And when that happens, I think I just start looking around. Maybe first signs of panic, and then as the burning takes over, Eli's eyes roll back into his head, and I think he's doing his best to just grit his teeth and and then he can't take it anymore, and you see the tears streaming from his eyes from the pain, and I think he just lets out an involuntary and he's practically crying out at this point.
The rest of you hear this, and you hear Strahd chanting around him, and then he is done, and he takes a step back, and you see that he is just watching what is unfolding. Do any of you do anything, or do you just sit back and watch?
I think Felwood, the moment that it looks like Strahd is done with this ritual, I imagine her eyes have just been focused on Eli. But the moment she sees, Strahd's shape is no longer moving around this wooden cross, she completely heedless of anything else, just sort of rushes up there and starts to try and pull the shackles off to get Eli loose, not paying any attention to how this looks or how this may reflect on her or Eli. She just tries to get him out of there if she can.
Yeah, you would feel a hand around your arm that kind of yanks you back, and Strahd bends down. It is not finished yet, Fel. Must be patient.
Why are you standing there watching him? Finish this now. He's in pain. And she kind of glances down at him, seeing the tears streaming down Eli's face. He's hurting. Finish this now.
It is done. We just have to wait to see if his body accepts the change.
I imagine upon hearing that, she tries to wrench her arm out of Strahd's grip, and she moves a couple of paces away, but she's still trying to stay close to Eli so she can just watch him in case the situation gets worse.
This lasts for a few moments, minutes go by to all of you, but to Eli, this seems like it lasts for an eternity of agony. But slowly and surely, you begin in this blackness, in this pain, in all you can think of is just this horror. The chanting around you continues. You're not aware of your surroundings, but you begin to see a light. A light just starting as a pinprick in the darkness. And it begins to shine brighter and brighter. And you can see that as the light begins to shine, you see that your pain begins to lessen. It ebbs away, retreating from your fingertips, from your feet, up through your body, and finally feels as though it's leaving out from the wound which started this all. And as the light begins to get brighter, you can see a shape, a figure that you know well. You can see her long robes, the sheaths of wheat she holds in her hand, and you see the visage of Shantea stands before you. And she smiles to you, Eli. And that smile says so much to you. She doesn't say anything, but she just nods. Smiles, gives you this knowing nod. And you feel no pain. Do you do or say anything? You can feel your faculties slowly coming to you.
So I think at the peak, and where Fel is probably getting the most worried, is Eli is straining against. I'm straining against these shackles. Muscles taut, back arched, coming up off of the board. Probably at one point start convulsing violently. And then as this light starts happening, I think just at the peak of Fel's worry, the convulsing starts to ease, and Eli's muscles relax a bit. And inside my mind's eye, as I'm seeing this, and I imagine every reaction I have probably plays out in real time on my face as I start to calm, and my eyes open, blinking back tears, and I'm staring up at this stained glass. And my eyes, I see this vision of Shantea. And I try to speak, and at first nothing comes out. And with tears streaming down my eyes, I'm just looking up into her eyes. And the only thing that I can muster is, I'm so sorry. As every thought of the time that I spent apart from Shantea, when after the tragedy at Greenest, when I forsook her and all of the gods and struck out on my own, that nearly 3 years of separation from her presence, every moment of that time feels like it's the time between the two of us has suddenly been erased. And again, that's all I can say is, I'm so sorry.
You see Shantea as her image begins to waver and ripple like water, dissipating when a rock is skipped along the surface of the water. You see the smile and a single bright tear fall down Shantea's cheek, and just a look of understanding, a look of acceptance as she disappears from view, and you are back. Strahd fell. You see Strahd squint his eyes curiously at Eli as he lets go of your arm that he had kind of been holding back. It is done.
Yeah, she would immediately rush forward and start trying to undo the shackles, seeing that Eli has calmed somewhat.
And something that you will notice right away is that that bite mark that was starting to radiate these, starting to look very infected and radiating out, is gone. Like it was never there.
I think noticing that, Fel would sort of smile a little and just be whispering kind of just nothing to Eli, just, hey, it's gone, it worked, it's all right, you're going to be okay. And then she kind of again focuses on removing the shackles. I imagine she would kind of go to embrace him, but then reasoning that he's just been in an immense amount of pain, she would sort of give him a little space, but sort of hovering nearby.
I think as you, in that moment that you stop moving forward and start to second guess, Eli reaches out and grabs you and pulls you into an embrace. And just, yeah, I was going to see if Eli could hold it together. I rolled a 1. Eli starts just sobbing. It's just, in this moment, the last thing he expected was to be confronted with Shantea and the separation, and seeing her acceptance of him saying, I'm sorry. He is taking that as her welcoming him back. And what and Fel, you would probably be the only one that would truly notice this, with Fel and Eli having spent intimate time together. Wink. Uh, that the in this embrace, there's so much tension that is gone, um, from his shoulders, from his arms, his neck. Uh, Probably tension that he'd been carrying for years. Um, that is gone. Um, at least in this moment, as Eli has had a truly religious experience. And after a few moments, just pulling back away from you and kind of looking up, you just see this smile. It's not sadness that you see, it's just the smile, though he doesn't say anything.
I imagine fell more by instinct than anything else. As she sees the smile, she just says, "You have a nice smile." I mean, that's stupid. I'm glad that you're all right. And she again kind of hug you tightly, and then let you kind of step back, disentangle a little bit. She actually looks to Strahd for a moment, and she very, very begrudgingly just says, "Thank you."
Strahd just smiles and nods. You shall begin your journey now. Yes.
I mean, at least give us, well, actually, she looks over to Corla. Maybe we should give us an hour or two to prepare, and then we'll go.
Very well. I can tell you that Van Richten has been last seen heading to the village of Kresk. But it is all I know. I have other business to attend to. I can surmise that you will find your way out. He bows again to you all. And I hope to meet again.
Eli would just give kind of a nod, like a nod of appreciation, I guess. Any animosity he had previously felt towards Strahd, at least in this moment, is gone.
And Strahd walks out of the sanctuary.
How do you feel? It was a little rough there for a moment. Maybe we should get out of here, away from all the gestures towards the droplets of blood all over the place. Maybe we should get back upstairs.
Yeah, I think Eli would kind of.
Ah, yes, the gushy heart pieces. Gross.
I almost imagine that they're not even gushy heart pieces anymore. What I imagine is there's like ash from the ritual that would have consumed them as components, and maybe being a little surprised, kind of expecting crushed heart pieces, but instead finding this ash just kind of. Yeah, I need to get my stuff before we head on out of here. Get what's left of my leathers and my rucksack. It's actually a wooden chest.
That sounds good. And she'll look over to Corla and Jean. Are you two all right? Are you going to be ready to go in a little bit? Probably more looking at you, Corla, than anything else.
Yeah, Jean will just give a quick nod, but still looks a bit perturbed by all this has happened.
I think Corla is actually quite pale at this point, seeing everything She is visibly shaken and uneasy, and it's almost as soon as you say, "Can we go?" she's like already turning to leave. She can't get out of this place fast enough.
Question for the DM.
Hmm.
Are all of the stained glass windows in this sanctuary intact?
Yeah. Surprisingly so. Yep.
I couldn't remember if it was in a state of disrepair, if there were any broken windows. If there was, I was going to take a piece of stained glass. But if it's in full repair, then I won't worry about it.
Yeah, inside is a mess, but for some reason the stained glass has been kept in perfect condition.
All right.
So once you are all packed up and ready, you head out.
Jace, we do.
Do you take any horses?
I don't think Fell's going to, but it's up to the rest of the group.
Just for reference, it is quite a long journey. Yeah, probably about a week.
That's okay. There's not a time limit on this, kind of.
By walking, a week by walking. Of course, you can cut that in half if you take horses.
Orla, Jean, how do you feel about these horses?
These dead horses, undead horses, call them what they are.
If we have an opportunity to use them, there's a saying, never look a gift horse in the mouth.
I don't know if that applies to undead gift horses, Eli.
They don't.
I think it especially applies to undead horses, as you can see right through their cheeks to the inside of their mouth.
Oh my goodness.
I was just about to say the same joke.
I beat Connor to a joke.
You beat Jean to a joke too.
But how are you feeling about the horses? Are you comfortable, or would you rather not?
I feel like they might be servants for him.
That is what I'm thinking as well. Anything that is his, he has potentially links to and could see, hear everything. I am not comfortable with them, no.
Also, I imagine if we're trying to be somewhat circumspect, riding around on decaying horses is not the way to do that.
Fair enough. If y'all are fine walking, I'm actually feeling better than I felt in quite some time, so.
Yeah, Eli, you feel great.
I kept waiting for you to tell me that I was going to lose all but one of my hit points.
Well, you did, but then Shantea, she got your back.
You don't realize how close to death you were.
Yeah. All right. So you head out. Now, there is the direct route that will take you back through. You will pass by the town of Barovia. You'll pass by the old bone grinder, and you will pass by Valaki. Or you can try and take a shortcut through the woods. Full stop. That's it.
That just sounds like a great idea.
Yeah,
Right?
let's go to the spooky forest. No, I think Fel would probably advocate for taking the main road.
Yeah, I'm not exactly interested in walking through trees at the moment. At least not
Right.
those trees.
Right.
And so how we're going to do this is it'll take you about a week. So first off, is there any Anything anyone would like to chit chat about as you are walking on your way to Kresk? Which, if you will remember, is where Blinsky and Irina were on their way.
Yeah, I think at some point during the journey, I imagine Fel is probably staying pretty close to Eli just to make sure he's, all right. But at some point, she would try to have a conversation with Corla, probably maybe during a watch in the evening, just where the other two would not necessarily be present.
I mean, we know the Corla does not sleep, so. Yeah.
You have to trance for 4 hours, okay? Come on. Got to get your beauty trance.
Beauty trance, like, look at this beautiful face.
Yeah, I just imagine maybe one night, maybe Eli and John took, the first set of watches or what have you, and since Corla only needs the 4 hours, they'll just sort of kind of go up to you, Corla, sit down and say, "So, how do you think this is going to go with Van Richten and everything?"
Corla just kind of stares down at the ground. She's got like a smaller knife that she's been using to like whittle a little bit during the watch. And she just kind of continues to do that. And then she looks at you. Are we really considering this action?
I imagine Fel glances away for a moment, then she looks back to you and she says, "Corla, I've never actually killed someone before. I'd really rather not have to be honest. I am hoping that," and she looks around almost surreptitiously, assuming that Strahd has spies listening. She lowers her voice. "I am hoping that if we explain what's happening or what has happened to Van Richten, with his knowledge, he might be able to help us. He might be able to help." She shakes her head. "He might be able to help Jean. Who knows? That's my plan, at least. I don't know if I could actually. I don't know if I could do that."
I don't know if I could do it either. He helped us. Plain simple, he helped when all others were not. And frankly, when I saw back there, and she kind of puts, back with the ways we come, he said this would be easier for Eli than it would be for those who have been dead longer, and it almost killed him.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if Jean could survive that. Healing.
Can I ask you something a little weird? I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm genuinely curious. It's been sort of nagging at me. That night, in the night that we spent in Strahd's castle, why didn't you stay with Jean? You two are friends. We were, to use adventurer speech, I guess, we were literally sleeping in the monster's lair. It doesn't really make any sense,
I think part of it is trust. I know I laugh because I stand by her all time.
You do.
You're always picking on her. And
It's
yelling at her
annoying.
for something.
Because she's awful, Corla, and she kind of lowers her voice. Sorry.
See, this is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But to come straight down to it, once trust broken, it's hard to come back. And we're not there.
I mean, you could have stayed with Eli and me. I mean,
Oh, I was not going to stop that. No.
why? What do you mean? What are you talking about? we slept in the same bed, but it's not. And I imagine for a moment, Fel kind of stops, and her face just goes bright red, like red as her hair, and she says, "Are you? Let me get this straight.
I don't want
you
to know
think
details.
you think that he and I," she stops, "did that while we were in Strahd's fucking castle? Corla, that is the least romantic, most horrifying thing I have ever heard in my entire life."
Whether you did, not did, what
We
that's
did
your
not.
point. The thing is, you two need time together. Alone, I would be third wheel. never needed
Sure, but
in
you and
this
she actually
situation.
reaches into her bag and she pulls out the little carved wooden Lancelot that you gave her.
Aw.
You gave me this. You provided me with comfort, solace, whatever you want to call it, on the road to Berez. You told me, even if maybe you didn't believe it, that we would get Eli and Jean out of that tapestry when I was in a bad place, Corla. I really was. And I like to think that we are friends, definitely not as close as you and Jean are, perhaps. But don't feel like you're the third wheel. That's so stupid. I mean, you could have gotten really hurt, and it sounds like you did get really hurt. And I don't want that to happen again. If I can help in some way, and if you don't want my help, that's fine. But she kind of puts the dog back in her backpack. I worry about you. Really.
I think that's Fel would be looking away. She's not looking at your eyes at this point. She is decidedly not looking at you. Thank you, Phil. No, it's okay. You have Eli. You just had him back. And I did not want to intrude. I just did not feel like it was my place to be there. And so I did not. I mean, it was a silly idea now I can see back looking at it. But at the time seemed smart. It seemed the right thing to do. It seemed we would be safe, we said.
Undead gift horse through the cheek, or whatever the saying is now. I don't know if anything that Strahd says or promises will ever be completely true. And I imagine as she says those words, she kind of glances back at Eli, looking visibly worried before looking back at you, Corla. Here's the thing, right? Like, I know that I can be difficult.
Overbearing.
Yes, overbearing, abrasive. I drink too much. I curse too much. Trust me, you are not the first person to tell me all of these things. But I genuinely want, if we can, for you and me and Eli and maybe Jean too, if we can help her, I want us to get out of here in one piece. I know sometimes I have terrible ideas. Other times I have really good ideas. Just throwing that out there.
Yes, okay.
Listen. Doru would not have escaped if you all had. Anyway, doesn't matter. Not going to dredge that up. But I don't want you to ever feel like you're a third wheel, Corla. That's a stupid reason. Is that to put yourself in danger? Do you really want that to be on your sort of like tombstone? She was afraid of being a third wheel, Corla. I mean, that's sad. I could see she tried to kill 1,000 people. Corla, the mountain cat who jumped on a bear and cut him open. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. You just don't. I'm not going to say don't feel that way, but don't feel that way, Corla.
Phil, I understand, and at least for now, you are stuck with me.
Well, I hope to continue to be stuck with you because you are much better at this adventuring thing than I am. So.
Well, we can at least agree on one thing.
I mean, yeah. Hey, we agree on some other things.
Yeah, she kind of looks at you and she kind of gives you that playful wink that you haven't actually seen for a long time.
I imagine Fel actually smiles back, and she does kind of the very awkward, like, kind of side hug, since they're sort of sitting next to each other, kind of squeezes you a little bit and says, "Right, I'm going to leave you to your whittling. I'm going to go take a look at the spell book." And she gets up and kind of moves off, giving you a little space. Um, and yeah, just ride out the rest of the watch.
And so you walk for a few days. You hear the odd howl in the distance as you traverse, but the wolves don't seem to be interested in you for one reason or another. And everything seems relatively quiet for Barovia. That is until you come upon an opening on the road and you hear the sound of music. Hear the sound of voices. You hear the sound of violins and tambourines, and you hear the sound of horns, and you look and you see a very large group of Astani. And in the middle of this group, you're I would say where you are right now is you're almost to Vallaki, but not quite there yet. You see a very large, ornate, colorful tent that you recognize from when you first came to Barovia as Madame Eva's. And that is where we are going to take a quick break. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to my players, and we will be back in a few moments. Stay tuned. Hello, we are back from our break. So, something that we are going to go over quickly before we have the interaction with the potential interaction with the Vistani. Eli, you were making something during the 4 days of travel.
Onto some of the potion bottles, maybe one of the Vistani wine bottles Vistani wine bottles that fell emptied. Every morning I performed a ritual for 1 hour. I would wake up and meditate, spend a spell slot, and perform a ritual to bless one of these vials, filling it up with water from a stream or something, and would bless it, and would create a vial of holy water. And on that last morning, having all 4 bottles, I would walk over to Fel and hand her one in one of these Vistani wine bottles.
Oh.
Don't get your hopes up.
Oh.
It's not wine. It's a little extra protection if you need it.
I knew that. She still looks disappointed.
It's holy water, blessed by Shantea. Well, blessed by me with Shantea.
Right. No, I got that. I got that. Mm-hmm.
And then I would bring one over to Corla and take this, just in case. There's a lot of things around here that this might come in handy in a pinch. And
She kind of looks at it. Thank you, Eli. What is it?
it's water that has been blessed with the divine energies of Shantea. It is now holy water. And I know some of these creatures, these undead, maybe don't get any on your horse.
We didn't take the horses.
But yeah, come in handy in a pinch if we need it.
Thank you.
I made some for everyone. And then I head over to Sean, and I've actually taken that potion bottle that was given to me at Strahd's castle and cleaned that out and filled it. And I hold out the bottle. Here, I made something for you.
You catch Jean by surprise. She was doing something. Back was turned, and you outstretch your hand to give this potion bottle, and immediately she howls, falling backwards onto like her rump, I guess. And this howl is not a humanoid howl. It is terrifying and almost ear breaking of a howl. As you can see that, her face is now contorted, her eyes almost purely red, as if they've been filled with blood. And after she falls down, just almost backpedaling like a crab, I guess. Her face returns to normal, and her eyes shrink back to being normal whites. And she presses one of her hands up to her temple. What is... She agonizes. She kind of lets out a sigh of agony, or post-agony, I guess. What is that?
I think at first my reaction is, oh, didn't mean to scare the crap out of you. Sorry, I should have told you I was coming up behind you. So there's a moment as you howl and stumble and fall backwards, I come closer to you, still holding this bottle, and probably that's where you grasp at your temple, and I kind of realize I just rolled a nat 20 on an insight. Sorry, I'm not trying to be my own DM, but I just I like to see how Eli's going to react to these, but you can tell me to stop if you need me to. Yeah, so I think I just sort of look at this in my hand and like, oh, it's and all of a sudden I'm like holding it. I'm still standing there, but I'm holding it over here. Like it's a vial of holy water, water that has been blessed with the divine radiance of Shantea.
I've been feeling sick and queasy for like the past 3 days. Is this because of you? Is it that stuff?
I've been making a vial of this every day for the past 4 days.
It makes me ill. I think it's holy water. That's doesn't bode well for me. Keep it, I think. She says with like a half chuckle, trying best to use humor to just like bandage up this strange scenario.
Yeah. Look, I'm really sorry about that,
Likewise.
and I'll just quickly excuse myself and kind of awkwardly back away and wasn't expecting that. And I'll just pocket. I'll kind of look at it for a moment and then just look over it at where Sean is and then I'll put it in with my others.
And so we resume back to one other thing too. As you were walking, you passed by the old town of Barovia, and you see what Doru and I believe Strahd had said. It is in absolute ruin. You still see smoldering where there was some sort of fire even after all of these days, and you see the old church bell you see it is the only thing that is standing left. Every other building has been destroyed. It looks as if they had been so methodical that not even a brick is left, save for the church where you had your interaction with Father Donovich. And then we move to where this opening and the music that you hear, and you see people dancing and singing, and you hear the sound of revelry, and what would you like to do? You see this view.
If we see Stanimir again here, I'm going to kick him in the balls. She kind of points at you, Eli, and says, we agreed on this. The next time we saw him, someone is going to hit him in the balls. She looks to the others. We should, I guess, talk to Madame Ava. I mean, Strahd said that he knew of her. They weren't allies, but he knew of her, obviously. Maybe she could help us find Fenrichten? I don't really know. Part of me is tempted to just skirt around all of this. We have not had much luck with the Vistani, except for Arabelle and her father, the little girl we rescued from the lake. What do you all think?
I am not adverse to seeing Madame Ava. She seemed knowledgeable. Maybe there is more she could tell us.
Eli, what do you think?
Well, it's kind of nice to see some familiar faces, and it's been a while since we've availed ourselves of that Vistani wine.
And so you begin to walk down towards the tent. It doesn't take long before people begin to recognize you, and at first they come at you quite, not menacingly, but I guess apprehensively. They are stopped by a voice that calls out from the large tent. Let them through. Let them through. Yeah, and you're allowed. The tent flaps open, and you're allowed to enter.
Did that withered old voice sound like the withered old voice of Madame Ava?
Absolutely.
Perfection.
And as you walk in, you can see that it is in fact Madame Ava, who sits by the fire, warming her hands as a young girl pours her some warm tea. And you can actually see that there are 4 other mugs or clay mugs of piping hot tea centered around this this fire in the tent. And Madame Eva just looks up. Come, come, sit, sit. It is good to see you all again. And she gestures to the tea.
Likewise.
Yeah, Phil will sit down. What kind of tea does this seem to be? Could you make some kind of perception check to give it a little sniff?
It just seems like a herbal tea. You can smell sweet from the berries, mint, maybe a little bit of. Just seems like this concoction of. It doesn't smell unpleasant. It smells quite lovely. In fact, just like their wine, this fragrance is just lively and just a mixture of things that maybe shouldn't smell good together, but somehow do.
Imagine almost in spite of herself, Fel takes a little sip and says, "This is amazing. Of course it is. It is good to see you, Madame Ava. How have you been, I suppose?"
Well, it is. We weren't able to pick up or drop off any of. Sorry, let me start over. Well, you would imagine our surprise when we dropped off supplies at the village of Barovia to see it in ruin. We are on our way to Vallaki next. But she gives this wry smile, like knowing smile. But I imagine our journey will lead us to Kresk.
As you knew that we would be here.
She smiles, and I heard your my sons here are very good lookouts, and they saw you from down the road. Figured you'd want something nice and warm. So How goes the journey? You've been
I
busy.
think at that, I just sort of shift the have my hand on the pommel of the sun sword and just sort of adjust it. I imagine it catching a bit of firelight. It's just a way of saying, well, we got something that we were looking for without actually saying anything.
Madame Eva is going to kind of reach over and like place her gnarled hand on yours, the one that's kind of holding the hilt, and she holds it there for a moment. Her hand is quite warm, warm to the touch, and she kind of smiles. I never thought we'd have another Von Zarovich in this tent again, but it seems we do. Hello, Sergei. And she withdraws her hands. She was like looking at the sword, and she withdraws her hands. So I see you are doing well, progressing.
Doing well is a little subjective. It has been nightmarish, to put it lightly. How long ago was it that you had, I assume, Strahd in your tent, Madam Ava?
Oh, it's been many, many moons. I'm afraid unsurprisingly, we did not quite see eye to eye on many things.
Can Fel insight check that many, many moons?
Yes, yes.
I shall, because paranoia is a hell of a drug, kids. Let's look. Well, I'm going to go to my passive, which is 10.
Many moons. Yep.
Yeah, Fel will glance from Madame Ava to the others and then back to Madame Ava. If you are heading for Kresk, that just so happens to coincidentally be the same place that we're heading. Maybe we could travel with you all if you're amenable. Probably don't want to stop by Vallaki, though, as you stated before.
Well, your tune has changed since I last saw you.
What do you mean?
Well, I feel as though if this was when you were first here, you would have insisted to go on your own, be independent and foolhardy.
Foolhardy. First of all, that is a grotesque overstatement, I think. Secondly, I mean, it's a long trip. You're heading there, strength in numbers, blah, 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 blah. Glances to Eli and then glances away.
She laughs and she says, well, I'm glad your spirit still hasn't left. Of course, you may travel with us. But I feel as though your journey might be a little shorter than you at first imagined. She kind of smiles. More tea.
How exactly is our journey going to be shorter than we are anticipating?
She smiles again, and you will see soon enough. It is a feeling I have. The stars told that your journey does not quite lead to Kresk.
Of course, the stars would say something very helpful and cryptic like that. Right. She just sips her tea.
They are quite lovely to talk to. Quite chatty, if you can believe it. And she looks to Jean, and her face kind of falls as she looks at you. My dear Jean, you are not doing as well. I am sorry.
It seems the darkness of this place has taken its hold upon me.
I do still see sunlight in your future, my dear.
Sunlight that pierces this damn fog.
Yes. She nods. It pierces the land itself. And she smiles and then closes her eyes. She begins to hum, just to herself. We will be leaving in the morning if you'd like to stay. Unless you had any other questions. I'm glad you are all doing well.
I think Fel very reluctantly just asks, is Stanimir here?
No. Stanimir, I have not seen him for a while. He ventured in to Vallaki. I think to find you, all of you. Something important he wanted to say, but gosh, this old brain of mine, I can't quite remember what it is. I haven't seen him since.
He wasn't, he was not one of the guests at Castle Ravenloft, was he?
Yes, he was.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Any idea what important thing he may have wanted to tell us? I don't know if he will be able to report whatever it is he needs to say to us for a variety of reasons. Any idea at all?
Madame Eva closes her eyes. Not yet. I will think on it. We still have a few days of journey. Perhaps I will remember and then.
Let us know. Yeah?
Of course.
Perfect. Hopefully there's an apology somewhere in what he planned to tell us, but great. Well, I guess if we can help in any way with moving everything, just let us know.
Of course. Here. My granddaughter will guide you to some of the tents that you can stay in for the night. And, yeah, she would lead you, and you all have a good night's sleep. If there is always a celebration and music with the Vistani, and if anyone would want to stay up and partake in that, you are more than welcome to. Otherwise, you have a very restful night. In the morning... sorry.
Corla totally stays up at
Yeah.
parties.
The wine is very good.
Eli stays up a bit too. Doesn't necessarily party as hard, but has a few drinks and partakes in dancing and revelry a bit.
It is so different from when you attended Strahd's party, if you could call it that, Strahd's dinner. That seemed it seemed very formal, very rehearsed, very tense. But this one, yeah, you could say it's figuratively and literally a lively occasion. As it must feel good just to talk to people again, people who have seen the outside. If you have any questions for them about, the outside world, you can ask them, and they would tell you as much as they would know, but they would invite you to eat and drink and just talk about just very, very average things, which I'm sure is a relief.
He's very appealing at this point, yes.
Would any of them, I'm just out of curiosity, just because I imagine Phil would probably think to ask, would any of them have any news from Daggerford?
No news, since they were all kind of chased off, I guess, the first time when no one has been allowed. They have not been allowed back into the walls, and they have not attempted to stay outside the walls.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So in the morning, you all pack up. The wagons are loaded. The horses are loaded. You guys can have live horses if you would like. And you begin on your way. And after just a few more days, in fact, you're on your 6th day, and they say that by midday of the next day, you will be at Kresk. However, I need everyone, please, for me to make a perception check.
These dice are on fire. Oh, and they are.
That's a 4. Passive
Jean.
10.
Jean got double
Dirty.
that with an 8.
Dirty 20.
Nice.
I got a 25.
Both Eli and Corla, all of you pass by this very large, tall tower, and it looks to be just a single tower, really in the middle of nowhere, in between, kind of closer on the closer side to Kresk, away from Vallaki. The tower stands 80 feet tall, and in behind it you can see a lake enclosed by misty woods and rocky bluffs. The thick fog is still ever present, and it creeps across the dark, still waters. You see a flat, marshy land that with a stone tower on it. The tower is old and decrepit, with collapsing scaffolds clinging to one side where a large gash has split the wall. Time-worn griffin statues, their wings and flanks covered with moss, perch atop buttresses that support the walls. Parked near the base of the tower, within sight of the road, you see a wagon. And this wagon is very familiar to you, as in fact it is Rictavio's wagon that you had entered into that first day at Vallaki.
Whoa. I immediately pull back on the reins of the horse and sort of do that thing, I imagine, where the horse sort of, pulls up short and kind of pulls in a circle. Maybe looking over and seeing that Corla has seen exactly what I saw. Hold up. Start calling out to everybody.
Are you saying this like to the whole kind of caravan that's moving, or just to?
No, I think I'm more to Corla, Thel, and Sean, realizing there's no reason for the Vistani to have to stop.
Okay. So yeah, the caravan will keep moving. It is very slow. The big caravan moving, but yeah, they keep going.
In fact, I'll even say something to one of the Vistani nearby. It's all right. You guys keep on moving. We'll catch up if we need to. It's something we're gonna go check out. Phil, Sean.
Yes. Why are we stopping?
And I just sort of point in the direction of where we see this. Pays to keep your head up, looking around a bit. Wagon look familiar there?
It does, I think. Is that should actually, because I think wasn't it Corla and John that actually went to talk to Rictavio in Vallaki? To his wagon to see the man with the monkey?
Yes, but you would have seen him standing outside of his caravan when you first met him with the monkey.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, so she'll look to the other two and just say, that's Rictavio's wagon, isn't it? All right. I guess we should go to that tower then and see if we can talk to him about the situation that we are all in right now. Speaking of which, I guess now's as good a time as any. How are we going to approach this exactly? Any thoughts? Suggestions? Limericks? Ideas? Anything?
That's about how that's about how quiet Eli is. This is something that's been weighing heavily ever since we left Strahd's, and sort of the initial glow of the after effects of the ritual have worn off. I mean, following that ritual, if Rictavio had walked in, Eli would have cut him down right there. But now he's had time to think about it, and some of those original questions are starting to creep in. So I think you might see a bit of a furrowed brow.
So I have a thought. First thing, we don't actually kill him, because I think if we can avoid that, that would be just wonderful. Maybe he can help us and help you, Jean, with our situation. He is a hunter of vampires. I imagine he is quite knowledgeable. There we go. Words. Knowledgeable about such things. Maybe we just tell him what's going on and see how he reacts. After reassuring him, of course, we are not actually here to hurt him.
Remind me, because it's been so freaking long since we interacted with Rictavio. Was he a dick, or was he like a bad guy? Or
No,
just okay.
neither. He actually is the one who hooked you up with the vixen, who actually led you to the company of the Golden Wolf, who said that he could help.
Ultimately is responsible then for me having the Sun Sword.
Yes.
Oh no! Wait, we didn't.
Well-
Did we get that from Vixen, or did we get that
did.
from?
Fel got that from the Vixen.
Yeah.
Just
Who got it from Lady Watcher.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. All right. I just had to remember. Yeah, that's not a bad idea to just shoot straight with them and tell them what's what. All right, well, horses are gonna grow roots if we stay here too much longer. We might as well move forward.
I think that is the most folksy thing I've ever heard you say. Let's go.
Well, I mean, if you want to go back to the way things
No,
were in the beginning, I
course.
could start waxing poetic about rivers and.
So you start towards the wagon. As you get closer and closer, Eli, Fell, and Jean, you all begin to feel something very strange as you approach this tower. You feel this weakness about yourselves. This hollow feeling begins to form. It's very hard to explain. It's not like exhaustion or physical tired, but almost just something is missing. And as you get closer to the caravan or to the wagon, you can see the scorch marks on it. Actually, half of it, the quarter that was kind of away from you, away from the road, has been completely singed off. So that, in fact, you can almost see inside of it. You do not hear any rustling or any noises coming from within the wagon.
Well, looks like somebody may have beaten us here.
Imagine Fell is looking at her pale hands as I imagine she almost realized that she feels similar to how she did before arriving in Barovia and gaining her abilities in the first place. And I think she almost feels the loss more keenly now. She's like, I don't think I can cast anything. And she'll actually, just as an experiment, just try to summon her mage hand to see if it works.
Yeah, and you can see I imagine as you focus on it, you try to cast it. It shouldn't be this hard to cast, and you can see the beginning of a shaky hand beginning to form. But it just gets too exhausting to focus on it. There's just this barrier that you can't break through. It feels like you're pushing against it, but not being able to break through. And eventually, as soon as just the littlest amount of concentration is gone, the hand, poof, disappears.
Well, that's a little worrying. Does it seem like it's coming from the tower, M, or is it coming from the wagon? Can we get a sense of that? Or is it just kind of everywhere in this general vicinity?
Yeah, it's just kind of everywhere in this general vicinity. The wagon is very close to the tower, so.
Right. Well, maybe we look inside the wagon, see if there's any clues about what exactly happened. Worst comes to worst, we go into the tower. I imagine that's where he probably went. If he's still alive.
What is it, Phil? What is wrong? Why?
It's like I said, I can't, and she kind of like makes an arcane gesture and nothing happens. I can't cast anything, which is a little weird.
I'm going to reach down and pull out the sun sword and see if it activates.
Ooh, that is a good question. You pull the sword out, and it is dull. It does not ignite into flame or light, and you hear no word from Sergei.
I don't know what this is, but there's something that's suppressing our magic in this place. And I'm immediately going to resheath the sword and just undo the leather strap on Righteous Indignation. Might have to fall back onto some classics here.
Let's take a look at the wagon, see if we can find any clues about what happened to Rictavio Van Richten. And Fel will try to awkwardly maneuver her horse kind of towards the burned area of the wagon to see if she can peek inside.
Why don't two of us check out the wagon, and the other two at least check out the entrance to this tower?
Works for me. I do think if we're going to actually go inside, though, we should all go together just to be safe.
Well, we can at least check out the opening and check out what's inside.
Agreed.
And I'm gonna climb down from my horse and approach the tower
Okay,
to investigate the opening.
who else is going to the tower?
Jean will.
And then Fel and Corla, you're going to investigate the wagon. Looking inside it from the burn part that you can see into the wagon, you do not see any stirrings. You do see the messiness of Corla, the wagon that you recognize from it. There's books and papers and maps just shoved into every nook and cranny that's possible.
But not look like struggle or anything untoward here, just burnt out front end.
Yeah. That's all you can see. Yeah.
Does it look like the charring or the burning is sort of like coming from inside the wagon, or does it look like it's more something that hit this thing, caused it to burn, and it kind of like burned inward as opposed to outward?
Make an investigation. Yeah.
I shall, with my slightly above average intelligence. Let's take a look here, see what I can do.
I will aid you in this endeavor.
Okay, thanks, Corla. Well, that's not great. How about a 14?
Yeah, it's pretty, once you get a closer look, it is becomes pretty obvious that it burned from the outside in. Something hit it that was on fire.
So something hit the wagon and caused it to burn. What are you thinking, Corla? Do you have any idea what could have done this? Maybe just a thrown torch or some kind of explosive?
You have... She just kind of looks at you and your hands and knowing what you've thrown from them.
I can't do that right now,
No,
obviously.
but it could have been someone else like you. And does it look like it came from like the tower side, so it could have come from the tower, or does it look like it came from the outside and went towards?
You can't tell. There's no window directly above from where someone might have thrown it from, but yeah.
So, like, I'm just sorry. The way the wagon is sitting, like, is it cross? Like, if this is the tower, in front, and we are over here, is the wagon side like it's just that entire front end? So you can't tell, or
Yeah, it's actually the back end. And it's that end is facing the tower, the burnt end.
okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe whoever lived here, and she'll point at the tower, didn't like the company.
It could be. And Fel's actually going to kind of lean in a little bit and see, are there any, like, I know you mentioned there were like books and it was kind of a disaster area in there, but is there anything that's like, looks like it might have been important, like any kind of documents or tomes or anything that look like they've been placed with some, maybe a little more care before they were all scattered into disarray?
There is a huge, looks to be a huge leather-bound book laid open on the desk. Yeah, that is the only thing that looks to be open and looked at. Everything else seems to be kind of shoved away.
Gotcha. So without hesitation, Fel is going to try to clamber into the wagon to get at this book because she loves books, and she just says to Corla, "Hang on, I'll be right back." and she's going to try and pick up this book and at least take a look at maybe what page it was open to or what general chapter it's open to.
As you go in, you can see that it is, in fact, a journal.
Ooh. Van Richten's diary.
And there is one written entry that is halfway done that the page is open to. Did you want to read it?
Absolutely. I think Fel, I imagine, because she's really only had Flint's old spell book to like read and tinker with and whatnot, she is just absolutely ecstatic to have something else to read at this point. So she'd probably go back to sort of the opening, the burned opening, so that she can kind of read it aloud to Corla as well.
And as you read it, we will turn quickly to Eli and Jean. You walk up to the door. And this door it's tall and wooden, very old, a very thick looking wood door. Something interesting you see, the door has 6 different handles, all made from a variety of different shades of colored glass. The colors are red, yellow, green, blue, black, and clear.
What do you make of this?
Ornate door handles.
But why? That's the question.
Great wealth, perhaps, of its creator.
Yeah, it could be. Does it look like there's any locking mechanism on this? Like an obvious lock?
Both of you give me an investigation check if you are looking at the door.
I got a 6. Jean is not rolling well at all tonight.
I got a natural 20.
Nice. Eli,
Or a 20.
Eli, as you look at this door, you can see that it is heavy and oak, and you see that there is iron banding across behind the handles, denoting some kind of lock. And with that roll, you see very small etched into the wood, just below the handles. You see the word, "Follow the violet horizon."
Follow the violet horizon. Oh, that's even more curious. Some kind of riddle or passphrase or something?
Jean looks at these stained glass handles again. What are their colors?
Red?
Yellow, green, blue, black, clear.
Yeah, in that order.
Have you seen light shine from both a red and blue prism when they overlap each other? They make violet.
Yeah. But there isn't a violet handle.
There's a red and a blue.
So there's a red and a blue.
Makes them like paint.
Could be like trying to turn them both at the same time. Is that what you're saying?
That's my current idea.
Well, maybe maybe staying back a minute. And I'm going to grasp the red and blue handles. Give a look over to Sean.
Jean will nod.
Kind of glance over my shoulder at where the others are. Make sure Fell's occupied and not seeing what I'm doing. And I'm going to turn both the red and blue handles at the same time.
As you turn them both carefully at the same time, you hear the locking mechanism disengage, and you also hear the sound of something powering down.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. Just.
Ooh.
But nothing happens, and you feel the door give as it unlocks.
There's just a moment where I just kind of squint and brace for something. Open one eye. Okay. And then open the door.
And as it opens, Fel and Corla, Fel, you read the following passage. For more than 3 decades now, I have undertaken to investigate and expose creatures of darkness to the purifying light and truth and knowledge. Hero I am named in some circles, sage and master hunter, I am called in others. That I have survived countless supernatural assaults is seen as a marvel among my peers. My name is spoken with fear and loathing among my foes. In truth, this virtuous calling began as an obsessive effort to destroy a vampire that murdered my child, and it has become for me a tedious and bleak career. Even as my life of hunting monsters began, I felt the weight of time on my weary shoulders. Today I am a man who has simply lived too long. Like a regretful lich, I find myself inexorably bound to an existence I sought out of madness and seemingly must now endure for all eternity. Of course I shall die, but whether I shall ever rest in my grave haunts my idle thoughts and torments me in my dreams. I expect that those who think me a hero will change their minds when they know the whole truth about my life as a hunter of the unnatural. Nevertheless, I must reveal here and now that I have been the indirect yet certain causes of many deaths and the loss of many good friends. Mistake me not, I do not merely feel sorry for myself. Rather, I come to grips with a devastating realization. And that is where it ends. At the top, in smaller writing, you see a small note. Sorry, not at the top. Sorry, at the bottom, you see a small note. And you see it on every page. It had been painstakingly written on every page as you see this small little note. And at the bottom it says, If you are to find this, it means that I have unfortunately come to my demise. Please, I write for you now the story of the life and death and heroism of Rudolf van Richten, vampire hunter.
Well, he's certainly got a flair for the dramatic. There's There's no like signs of blood or anything, because I know Corla was looking for signs of struggle, but there's no like blood or burned bits in here. It's a
Nothing.
mess.
No.
Honestly, Corla, I think we need to get inside that tower. Unless you have any other thoughts on this, it's interesting that he, I guess he lost his child to a vampire. That's awful. I don't know. What do you make of all this?
I am understanding his drive, why he's doing the things he's doing, and more though so than ever now, I feel we need to talk to him if he is not already gone.
Makes sense to me. I guess let's go over to the others and see if we can get inside that tower. Oh, look, the door! And then Fel will sort of move over towards the other two.
Yeah, as you come out, the door is now open.
Nicely done.
We wasted no time.
And beyond this door is a 5-foot square vestibule with a tattered curtain that conceals. Sorry. With a tattered curtain. Whoops. With the tattered curtain. The iron door. You see on top of this iron door is a very, very strange contraption with what can only be described as these long metallic threads coming down on either side from these cylinders that you can see kind of spark every so often with what look to be lightning. Small little bursts of lightning. And as you walk in, you also see that these small circular glass objects above you, they begin to brighten, almost as if by magic, and you can hear this humming noise as they are brought to life. These globes, these orbs of light illuminating the room, the small room that you're in.
Fel's actually going to start flipping through the journal to see if there's any kind of reference to this device. I imagine she's a little awestruck as she watches these globes illuminate. This is like nothing she's ever seen before. So she just kind of like digs through the journal trying to find any reference or even a schematic maybe of this machine, this device.
Yeah, you look through and you don't find nothing that you can find in quickly amongst all the prose and the long paragraphs, but no pictures.
Much purple prose, Van Richten. God. Yeah, so she'll kind of close the journal and say, I've never seen anything like this before, which is not saying much. But do any of you know what this is? I mean, apart from very bright. You're muted, Jake.
I don't usually mute myself. I'm just kind of looking around at this, like, I guess I'm kind of new to the magical thing, and this isn't anything I'm too familiar with.
I don't even know if this is magic, since I imagine, I assume, it still feels like we can't access our abilities necessarily.
Yeah, sorry.
Bless you.
Anyone who would like to, make me an Arcana check, please.
Watch me claim to be not good at magic. And...
But actually...
No, I rolled an 8.
I got a 10.
I got my highest roll of the night with a 13.
Oh, nice.
It is so fitting. I rolled 1 on dice.
Fel, what did you get?
I got a 10.
Okay. Sorry. Jean, what did you get again?
13.
All right. Jean, from your, you can kind of tell that you don't think that this is magic that's doing this. And yes, you also feel that like draining sense of. Actually, it is very similar. Well, not with Jean, but with Fel. It is very similar to that feeling you felt when your magic was taken from you in the death house.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because we got it, and then it got sucked away at one point, and then I think we got it back, or something to that effect. But
Yeah.
yes, gotcha.
Yep. Very similar feeling. But yeah, John, you know that this is not. You don't think that this is magic.
And she kind of say that. She says, like, I see no sigils. I smell no alchemical ingredients here to make this magic. How it sparks out its own volition, like the lightning. Concerns me.
Well, it looks like magic to me.
I see no spell being take place here. Plus, I even feel the magic in my own body is being sapped out of myself.
Well, I have to take what you say for truth, because I don't understand. But this, and she points at everything, is magic some sort.
It's kind of interesting to look at, isn't it? I mean, like everyone's been saying, I don't think. Well, I don't know if there's anything like it in Faerun necessarily. You said that curtain? Is that curtain concealing this, or was it concealing this, M, or have we not really kind of peeked behind that curtain?
So the curtain is kind of on the other side of you, and it seems to be concealing a room beyond.
Okay. Yeah, I think Fel will kind of tucking the journal under her arm will actually start to walk over towards the curtain to kind of take a peek.
So as you look, the flagstone floor is strewn with debris, and an old few crates stand near the east wall. A 5-foot square indentation in the center of the floor contains 4 pulleys attached to taut iron chains that stretch up through a similarly sized hole in the rotted wood ceiling. So you see kind of this, indentation in the center of the floor with these 4 chains kind of coming out of it and all these ruined crates everywhere. The chains are taut, though they don't land on any kind of wheel or mechanism, but they just seem to keep going through the floor.
And so you said there's a ceiling of like decaying wood above this little area?
Yes.
Imagine Fel just kind of pokes her head out from behind the curtain. It's caught to the others. Hey, so there's like some chains in here, some very taut iron chains. It's a small room with a little indentation in the middle. This place is fascinating. And she ducks back behind the curtain.
Fel, you also see that this metal string seems to travel from on the roof from these orbs that glow and travel up into the ceiling. And more of these glowing orbs light up as you walk in with this like ting, ting, ting. And you still hear that hum. Actually, something that I forgot to say is that there is a lever in the middle of this indentation.
So imagine Felt pokes her head out again. So there's a lever in amongst all these chains. I really want to pull it. I know I shouldn't, but like if you all could come in here, so in case something bad happens, we could all react to it. You know, that'd be great. You know.
Yeah. I mean, if you go ahead and actually go through the curtain into the room, then we could all come in after you.
Wait a minute. I mean, I'm in the room now. I'm just poking my head out through the curtain.
Sorry, the fact that you had to, in character, explain what you're doing.
Absolutely. I'm a professional, Jake.
Right, how could I be so blind? For some reason, I pictured the opposite, that you were standing in the vestibule, kind of going, yeah, so here's what I see. Yep, there's a lever. I really want to
pull it, but I don't want to do it alone.
Yeah, I'll go in there then.
All right, great. Right. So maybe, see, normally I would use the mage hand spell to like pull it from a distance, but I don't think that's going to work. Do you maybe have some rope we could like make a little lasso type deal, you know, and then pull the lever?
The lever's in the middle of the floor.
Yeah, it's in the middle of this indentation.
So your plan is to take a rope and sort of lasso it, sort of, and then throw it, and I kind of, while pantomiming the arc, I walk over towards the lever, and then it will land on this lever.
Don't you dare.
And it'll pull it.
Yes. Don't pull the lever, though, Eli. Let's be smart about this.
It's a lever.
Well, yes, attached to a machine that we don't know what it does. Some non-magical device.
Well, I see chains and a lever. My guess is they're either going to pull something up or push something down.
Where is ceiling when we look in? Is like it right there, like a regular ceiling, or is it like high? Right.
I'm sorry, Phil. I just don't see the need for a convoluted plan to pull a lever.
It's literally just tying rope around it and pulling it from a distance. Don't you damn it.
Skunk. I'm going to pull the lever.
Fel just pinches the bridge of her nose very tightly.
Well, damn it. Yeah, I guess I would be.
Sorry. So, I'll just reiterate for the chat. As soon as Eli steps on it, or pulls the lever, they hear this sound of hissing and this. It almost sounds like, this monster. They hear this whistling and hissing and this deep guttural sound of slow grinding, metal against metal, as and with a jolt, Eli, you begin to raise up. As the chains begin to move down, you begin to be pulled up on the platform.
How fast is it moving?
Not very fast.
Quick, get up here.
I would like to dive on if I could. Yes.
God's damn it, Eli, and Fel's gonna clamber up there.
Wait for me.
Yes.
It ain't all that bad. It's clearly activated some kind of elevated floor.
Well, now, as long as you know how to stop it before we hit ceiling and get crushed.
Yes, Eli, do you know how to stop it before we hit the ceiling and get crushed?
Well, presumably I'll pull this lever again. It's a very simple machine.
Suddenly he's an expert.
You should maybe
Well,
try
I mean,
in case it don't work.
the firing mechanism inside Righteous Indignation works on a similar principle. You pull the lever and something happens. It's the most simplest machine known to man. You lay a stick across a rock and you push down on one side of it, that's a lever.
I imagine Fel's kind of like standing to the side of Eli and just like mimicking his words, like, "Oh, you just put the rock on one side and the stick flips. It's just like Righteous Indignation. Pew pew pew."
I'm stalling for time to see if, as we pass through the hole in the floor, if it stops automatically. And if it doesn't, then I will pull the lever to stop it.
It does not, but you do see that there are a few more floors continuing upward. But
Well, as we're coming up to this floor, is there anything noteworthy?
this floor seems to be empty. Save for these strange hissing pipes that you see continuing upward. But other than that, there's some crates, barrels. Other than that, though, it is empty.
All right. I'll just not yet. Not yet. Keep riding her up.
And as you keep going up, then you meet the third floor, and you see that there is still one floor left, more, till it looks like you reach the end of this tower. And same with the second floor. The third floor also has a bunch of different crates, some furniture that's covered with cloth, and as you keep going up, the steam starts to whistle out of these pipes. More of these globes begin ting, 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 light up before you, and you reach the fourth and final floor, and with a huge jolt and shudder of this lift, you come to a stop.
Oh, that was uplifting.
Oof. Oof. Get me off of this thing. And Fel's gonna start to walk off the lift.
And Corla just gives him a dirty glance and gets off lift as well.
This place is absolutely cluttered with these very interesting items, crazy items, these glass cylinders that seem to be full of lightning, others that are filled with smoke and bubbling. You see glass filled with bubbling liquid over a fire. You see all of these tubes and these metal instruments lying all over the place, papers and books and scrolls just strewn about. And you see, as a man turns around to face you, you see Rictavio, or Van Richten, Vampire Hunter. And that is where we're going to end our session for tonight.
Nicely done.
All right. So, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for an amazing session. Feels good to be back home and into a more normal schedule, and to be able to run this more regularly in the future. So that'll be great. And yeah, thank you to my players. You guys were were awesome, and I can't wait to see you next time. Everyone, thanks for watching, and have a good night.
Amen.